Wednesday 21st of March, spring has arrived, and clearly so. Down in Kent today, not far from London, doing an Otford Circular via Shoreham, swcwalk290. About 6 degrees today, so perfect walking weather. It's a short walk of about 9 miles, and as you can see, spring has certainly arrived. Cracking weather today, bit of a breeze, so hopefully there won't be too much interference on commentary, which I'm trying very hard to eliminate. It's 1:15, let's press on. So almost immediately outside the station, take this path for the chalk pit. Coming out into this green open space, we veer over to the left there, heading for that footpath yonder. Yeah, I didn't see that down below. Beware falling chalk. Now taking a left off towards Kemsing on the North Downs way, next to this information panel, which I do recall filming in previous years, but in the reverse direction. The steady ascent of Mount Orford, scene I remember well from times past. In fact, I'm sure I've stopped here previous years, had a lunch break. Looks like someone's forgotten their pretty expensive looking specs. Some fantastic views just to the right of the bench of the Darent Valley, and there's the cross in the distance of Shoreham. Where's it gone? There she blows. Very appropriate as we approach Easter. Mud's not too bad today because although there's plenty of it, it's dried out a bit in spite of recent snow, and it's kind of sticky as opposed to slippy. So I think that's it now for the winter in terms of mud. Bad mud anyway. Of course we've got April to get through yet, but nah, I think we've passed the worst. Fingers crossed. The potentially muddy stretch referred to in the text isn't too bad today. This is just before the gate where a recent tree has fallen down. There's the onward journey. Small remnant of the weekend snow there. Leaving behind the muddy section. That won't be too bad to give it a few days of drying winds. Passing the trig point referred to in the text, which stands at 204 metres per my map. So 600 odd feet. North Downs Way is on the other side of the field now, running beside those trees. Wonderful. Interesting, just as we approach Rowdale Lane. Nice new style here, but I wonder why they haven't put the omnipresent aluminium metal kissing gates now, which are a far better option. Seems bizarre, particularly as you can squeeze through here as well. Little point in it. Let's see who installed it, if there's any evidence. But I wish there was more evidence of this on the walks I'm doing of late. Need more enforcement of this. Less access to all three. As I keep saying, no footpath sharing please. Contact your MP. More little pockets of snow. None of this now up in North Harts. Following footpath SR30 for the fox and hounds. Real ale's good food. I think I've recorded this before. Not even sure if the pub still exists though. Certainly recall going down here. Sign here for pregnant ewes, keep dogs on a lead. Very relevant this because up in Hertfordshire last week, a man and 2 dogs were responsible for the death of 12 sheep near Much Haddam. Absolutely outrageous. What kind of idiot goes into a field full of sheep with ewes and lets his dogs loose? Unless he's a psycho. Outrageous. Now I'm entering the pleasantly named Magpie Bottom, and having said that, I just saw a flock of about 6 of them, or whatever the collective name for magpies is. Sure someone will correct me. Sure they've got one. Probably a cackle or something. No. Lots of flints here, possibly indicating some kind of mining going on. There's a quarry or pit here on my right. What a glorious day. This wonderful mixed woodland that I'm walking through at the moment is known as Great Wood. I can hear a buzzard mewing somewhere. The omnipresent great tits calling at this time of year. Not much else at the moment. Looks like the banks may have bluebell potential in season, which isn't far off now. Glorious. In previous walks in this valley, Magpie Bottom, I've come down that hill. But today we're turning left and going through those gates yonder. Approaching a lane with the same name as this valley, Magpie Bottom. Walking up this pleasant country lane past Rose Cottage Farm, and the condition of this lane is actually better than the road quality in many urban areas at the minute. Looks like it's been recently surfaced, perhaps last year. No potholes though. Wonderful views here on the right, and if I'm not mistaken, in the very distance there, through that gap, just about make out the city. Must be Canary Wharf et al. Think so. Plenty of jackdaws, jays and buzzards in the background. Another week, another pigeon less. We're branching away from the main path on the right, as indicated by this yellow marker. Going up past this, not sure what it is. It's got catkins on it. Anyway, uphill. Lovely vista out on my right, which can only be seen at this time of the year, I would guess. when you come down here in the summer, you know, tree cover would block all this. One advantage of coping with the mud in the winter, I presume. Yeah, badgers, I presume. Big holes. Three of them. Young bullocks here at Dunstall Farm. Surprised they're in at the minute, but I'm glad they are. I've filmed this before. The roundhouse, Castle Beef Herd, the hop shop. Interesting. Top of the range. Protection for the cattle over there. Seem to be getting the best of both worlds. Bit of fresh air and protection from the elements. The onward journey's clear and the farmer's done his bit, keeping us away from the mud. Now as we descend this wood down to Shoreham, just start to hear the hum of the M25 in the distance. Interesting feature there. Not sure what purpose that serves. Anyway, we continued downwards on these earthen steps. The hard graft that went into creating this staircase is much appreciated by whoever did it. Thanks for that. Yes indeed, some staircase. Bridleway comes in from the left. Heading under the railway bridge into Shoreham. That's the entrance to the golf club. Now walking parallel with the railway line along the DVP, Darent Valley Path. I don't recall seeing that the last time I was here at the church in Shoreham. St Peter and St Paul. Had a couple of lunchtime stops here in the past. Wonderful row of yew down to the Lich Gate. Yep, stopped in this storm porch before, had my lunch. Shall I have a gander? So there you go. Very pleasant. Yeah, nice little place. Very appropriate as we approach the most religious time of the year. Self-explanatory. Opposite the Old George, the Mount Vineyard with its opening hours, i.e. not open today. Down by the Darent. I'm not going to continue up over the bridge into the village. I'm going to turn right, follow the riverside route. The old war memorial that I've recorded previously. Very pleasantly positioned next to the Darent. Nice seat here as well in front of it. I haven't noticed that in the past. Samuel Palmer's old residence. This building behind the hedge. Looks like it's going to be a temporary closure of this footpath, but only for 5 days. From the end of the month, the 26th. So that was lucky. That's next week. Pleasant views on my right across the vineyard. What a wonderful spring afternoon it is. Pleasant collection of cottages, Riverdale cottages. Crown pub's still down there. Now following the raised footpath known as the Millennium Footpath, which, as you can see in the corner there, is a permissive path only. Nice one. Good gate these. Yeah, plenty of that going on as well. Wonderful robin song in the background. Final glimpse of Shoreham. Pleasant views back to Shoreham and the journey undertaken thus far. Wonderful views on my left as I climb the hill into Meanfield Wood. So here we go into Meanfield Wood. I was going to say that this path up in Meanfield Wood is pretty decent quality, but as you can see, where it levels out, it's gathered quite a lot of mud and water. Now entering Pilot's Wood as the hum now becomes a drone. M25 on my right. Just like that Thames side walk the other week with a Nero coffee cup, here's a Costa one. Absolutely ludicrous. People think that someone's going to collect that for them. Anyway, I was just about to comment on this path getting a bit muddier and more rutted beyond Pilot's Wood. M25's getting noisier as well. Well, there it is. Just down below us, next to this footbridge. Incessant. Hey, just next to these electricity masts, we're now descending down away from the M25. And it's about 110 metres at this point, I think, looking at the contours. Now entering Polhill Bank Nature Reserve, managed by Kent Wildlife Trust. What a wonderful vista you come out into. Interesting, you've got the railway line down here going through the tunnel, no doubt, underneath us. And the M25 going through a cutting, and I'm stood in a nature reserve. Beautiful afternoon. Lovely Kent oast house down there. Saw those last week in the Weald. Okay, it's around 4:15. Just had a little pit stop on the wooden seat up here. Appropriately positioned just as you come out of the wood. Now hopefully we'll better leave the M25 behind us over there. In my pit stop, I was watching two hares down in that field. They weren't exactly boxing, but clearly in mating mode, being the appropriate time of year. Seven Oaks there in the distance, I presume. Good old wood pole there, full of hibernating creatures, hopefully. Just looking at the information panel about Polhill Bank. Grizzled skipper can be found on these banks. That butterfly there, very rare. At this point, having got to the edge of the reserve, don't go through that gate or over that stile, but take this path back up into the wood. Lots of fallen giants there, probably from the storm of '87, which I remember well. Interesting position for a picnic table. Probably had a view when it was placed there. See that little bird box over there? Not now though. Okay, at this juncture, don't go left following the main path, just go right here following the much smaller path next to the fence. Wonderful views across the valley. Forecast winds don't appear to have materialised. What a glorious afternoon. Temperatures drop in mind. Lovely song thrush there in the background. Just come down Water Lane and I'm now on a bridle path, as you can see by all the churned up surface, next to a tributary of the Darent. Wonderful memento there. Sort of thing I'd do if I could afford it. Very pleasant environment to do it as well. Okay, at this path junction next to the golf course, turn right here, following SR17. Interesting use of a solar panel there. I'm sure what it's charging up, but could be the electric fence, I don't know. What wonderful evening views. As we approach Otford. This is potentially my last walk under GMT. Clocks go forward this weekend. Brilliant. Yep, I don't think I'll be doing filming any walks before the weekend. So that's it for this winter 2017-18. Another one out of the way. A very wet one it's been as well. Okay, we leave the Darent Valley Path at this point. Take a left on the North Downs Way again, up the High Street in Otford. Okay, Otford Church. I've just been in the Woodman. They stopped serving at 3, so the only option for food at this time at the end of a walk is the Bull, or I think I saw close by opposite some kind of pizzeria or something. Anyway, no food in the Woodman, so I'm pressing on to the station now. Grey squirrels making a warning note. As I walk through Otford Church. Okay, I make that 8.5 mile, 3.5 hours later. Good walk. It's about 5:15 now. So yeah, pleasant, quite strenuous walk with its ups and downs, but very pleasant for the shortness of it. Weather held out, all good. So swcwalk290, free walk 290 completed. And as a sort of finishing note, I've been watching Andrew Wright's walks on TV. Wasn't aware of this bloke, but seems to be doing something very similar to me, but on the telly. I noticed him on Forces TV, all sorts of bizarre little channels. So if you get a chance, you might want to watch him. Now, interestingly, some kind of, what is that up there? Yeah, it was a crow with a massive portion of bread in its mouth. Anyway, on that note, till the next time.